they've come up short. One of the ideas was this was to be a cakewalk, and it would be paid for by the oil in Iraq, and our oil would be protected. How it ever became our oil, I'll never know. But what has happened? We've spent $1 trillion plus. Some are predicting it's going to cost $5 trillion before it's all over. And what did it do to the price of oil? It went from $27 a barrel to $115 a barrel, and they call that sound policy. I call it nonsense. Now, the same individuals who got us involved in Iraq are anxiously waiting for the opportunity to apply those same principles toward Iran. That, to me, would be devastating, unnecessary, a threat to our national security, and would just further along our national bankruptcy. So I believe, just as I believed 5 years prior to going into Iraq, that we should avoid going to war against Iran. Our foreign policy is something that defies imagination. The founders were very clear on what they thought we should do. We should follow a policy of non-intervention, that we should not tell other nations how to live. We should be involved in the internal affairs of other nations, and we should keep a strong military here at home. Matter of fact, that has been generally the tradition of the Republican Party. If you look at the 20th century, Republicans were elected on more occasions to get us out of the difficulties of unnecessary war than they were elected to get us involved. Even as recent as the year 2000, our foreign policy platform said, we've had enough of Clinton's nation building and policing of the world. But here we are doing it more so than ever before. We need to just understand the principle, and the principle of non-intervention is not isolationism. It means that we talk to people, negotiate with people, travel, and be friends with people. That is a much better way to do it than telling other countries that they have two options. You do it our way or we'll bomb you. If you do it our way, we'll send you money. Why don't we just be friends with them? That makes more sense to me. I remember the 60s quite well, because I was in the middle of my medical training. I was in a residency in 1962 in October. I remember that well, because we had the missile crisis, and I was drafted out of my residency, and I served 5 years in the Air Force. And during that period of time, and after I left the Air Force, we always heard the argument, we cannot leave. American people wanted out. We cannot leave, because if we left, there would be a domino effect, and the whole Southeast Asia would become communist. But what has happened? Exactly the opposite has happened. It didn't go communist. It went